welcome back to another Martin's Home and Garden Houseplant of the Week. This week we are talking about the beautiful popular money tree, also called a Patera aquatica. These plants are native to Central and South America, and they were popularized as houseplants in Taiwan in the 1980s. They were thought to bring a positive chi or energy to the home environment, so that's what's made them so popular. They will get up to 60 feet tall in the wild, but they will only get up to 6 to 8 feet indoors, so no need to worry. They can also be kept in a bonsai form if you're looking to keep them in a smaller form, not 6 to 8 feet tall tree. But if you are looking for a really tall, nice, beautiful tree to bring into your houseplant collection, we are going to show you how to care for them today. So first thing is first, we're going to talk about the lighting requirements for this plant. This plant wants a bright to medium indirect light. No direct sun for these guys. It will burn the leaves. It's also best to avoid low light with these plants as well, as it will stunt the growth and cause them to really slow down in growth too, as well as make the new leaves a lot smaller. So bright to medium indirect light is going to be the best option for this plant. So next we'll talk about watering for these plants. It's best to water them whenever the top inch of soil is dry. So if you stick your finger in the soil up to like your middle knuckle, make sure it feels like it's completely dry, no moisture, before you water it each time. This plant is pretty drought tolerant and forgiving when it comes to forgetting to water them occasionally. This plant is going to be super forgiving for that. But overwatering can kill this plant pretty quickly, and they can be susceptible to root rot. So it's best to kind of err on the side of underwatering rather than giving it a lot of attention and a lot of watering, as it will kill it pretty quickly. It's also not super necessary to fertilize these plants. As long as you have kind of an organic, rich soil, which we'll get into in just a second, you don't really need to fertilize these plants a lot. But if you do want to fertilize them, if you need that extra nutrients, these two fertilizers we have right here are a really good option. This one is my favorite. I mention it in almost every video. It is the Osmocote Outdoor and Indoor Granule Fertilizer. You can kind of just set it and forget it, and then you won't have to fertilize again for another 6 months. It's a slow release, so whenever you water it, the fertilizer releases into the soil. And then the other option, if you're a fan of mixing your fertilizer into the water each time you water it, Jack's Classic All-Purpose 20-20-20 fertilizer is a really good all-around fertilizer for all types of houseplants, not just the money tree, but it is a really good one for the money trees. And then, like we said before, these plants are pretty prone to overwatering, so it's best to avoid this by ensuring that your pot has a drainage hole and that your soil has proper drainage. This plant needs a well-draining and rich soil mix, like we mentioned just a second ago. To help create this kind of environment, you can mix in peat moss or perlite to a general indoor houseplant soil mix, and that will help a lot. That also helps if you're looking for a plant that you don't have to fertilize as much. Giving it that organic matter of the peat moss will kind of help to create that rich soil to where you don't have to worry about fertilizing as much. Also ensure that these plants have a drainage hole in the bottom of their pots. That way the excess water has a place to go, it has a place to escape. That way your plant's roots are not sitting in water for long periods of time, causing them to get root rot. And the last thing we'll talk about today is pruning. These plants do need to be pruned. It is best to prune the lower leaves of the plant. That way the plant knows to take all of its energy into making new leaves up at the top of the tree. That way you get a nice fuller plant around the top as it continues to grow bigger and stronger. So I'm going to show you a little bit how to do that today. You're going to take some nice pruners or clean kitchen scissors, whatever you have, as long as they're pretty sharp. And then usually the smaller leaves, I don't know if you can see this, are pretty small, and then the bigger leaves get bigger. The new green leaves get bigger as they kind of grow and get older. So you are just going to want to prune just the little leaves at the bottom. Just cut them off as close to the the stem of the plant as you can get. And then it's no longer wasting its energy on that tiny, tiny bottom leaf. It's pushing all of the energy up into big new leaves. So yeah, you can also, pruning is also important if you're keeping this plant in a bonsai form. Since bonsais are meant to stay a little bit smaller, you're not going to want to prune the bottom leaves like we just said right then. You're going to want to prune the top leaves as they grow to kind of keep the shape that you want, to keep the size that you want. But yeah, that is all that we have for today. We will see you guys next week. Bye!